We're so lucky in our country, but here in Victoria, lots of piers and jetties to fish off. The great thing about them is that this on its own creates structure and habitat for fish. There's lots of growth around these areas, and this is where fish will come to, not only for squid and garfish, but oftentimes it'll be just reef around these areas that will help you to catch more fish. You can catch everything from snapper to flathead to salmon to whatever it may be. Today, I'm just on a nice little pier here, and on that side there's lots of sand, but just over here we've got reef, and the reef sort of funnels out that way, and we've got a bit of sand out through here. Now, when you're fishing on a pier and you're using bait and it's going to sink down to the bottom, a quick tip: don't cast onto that dark section, because that's where it's reef and weed. So you'll get snagged. What you want to try and do is cast onto a bit of sand that's very, very close to the weed. Sometimes you'll find you'll have all this dark area and a nice clear sand patch in the middle. Try and get your bait into that, because that's when you won't get snagged, but also the fish will come off the reef to feed in those sand holes and you'll catch your fish. I've got a couple of pippies and a pilchard or two here. I'm going to try and catch myself a flathead or a salmon or a pinky snapper, who knows. It's overcast, that's another great factor. So if you've got super clear water and a dead flat sunny day, it's not always so good. But here, cloud, bit of wind, a few showers coming through, it's ideal for some land-based fishing. Let's get to it. Okay, so you've got your junior anglers combo here. I've got a pilchard and a pippy, and I'm going to show you very quickly how to put a bit of bait on, but also the sort of size bait you want to use. I'm using a running rig, so hook, leader, swivel, and a sinker that slides on the line. This is the same rig that we used in the estuary to catch nice big bream. It's a great rig for so many situations, but as all I'm going to do here is, if you're using a pippy, you just open him up, scoop that pippy meat out like so, keep that shell. In fact, pippy shells are great burley, so chuck that in there. If we're going to use a bit of pilchard, we don't want a great big bait because we're fishing for what's generally a smaller fish. So what I would do is probably here, make that a bait there. The other one that's also good is just a little chunk like this. Again, smaller bait. It's much easier for a fish to come in and just grab it and swallow it rather than having to chew it and mouth it and do all that sort of stuff. Now, if I'm going to bait a chunk up just like this, quite simply get your hook, stick it through, just pick the scales off, stick that through just like that. There you go. That is a bite-sized little piece of bait that is absolutely perfect. So I'm going to start with a piece of pilchard. Great thing about this, it's oily, it's got lots of smell, so getting that out in the water is a really good thing. It will help to attract fish to the area. We'll start with this, but we've also got the pippies. Now, I know that there's reef there and there's a patch out here. I've got a bit of sand. You don't need to cast far because this is where the structure is. We're just going to lob that out there. Check our drag. And if you want to put the rod down, good thing about piers and jetties is people often cut little grooves into the timber like that. Tip the rod back, don't have it sticking way up there, get it as low as you can, and then when you get a bite, the rod won't get ripped over the edge. Okay, so the other thing I'm going to do now is I'm just going to cut a couple of baits off there. So I've got two baits, I've got one in the water, probably get one more out of that, but see how we're getting to the stomach section here. So what I'm going to do is chop up this nice and fine like so. And we're going to use this now for some burley. So just like so, and I'm going to lob that out there near where my bait is. That will help to attract the fish. You don't need a lot of it, a little bit, you know, every 10 minutes or so is absolutely perfect. There you go, there's the slightest of little bites just there. I've gone through a couple of baits, a couple of little tiny bites. And a good tip too is that if it's bright and sunny and it's super clear, that's probably not a great time to be fishing. But as I said earlier, we've got that bit of cloud. And it sort of makes it good. The water's got a bit of colour to it because we've had a bit of rain. There we go. It's not very big, but it doesn't matter. Here we go. What do we got? A little pinky. There we go. Quick as possible to get your hand under the fish, and you'll see here I'm not squeezing him. So he's laying there quite comfortably. That's only a little tiny snapper, but that could grow up to be a giant one day. So very carefully I'll pop that hook out like so. And as you can see, I'm not squeezing him. So because I'm not squeezing him, he's not kicking too much, because as I always say to people, how do you like if someone comes up and just gives you a massive squeeze? You tend to struggle and don't like it. Fish are the same. Get him back in as quick as we can. There he goes. So that shows the versatility of your little angler's kit. We've caught everything from redfin to brim to pinky snapper. There's heaps of other species that you can catch as well. Best of all, you've got your guide, your booklet, which has got how to do rigs, all the tips, species information, plus all these videos. So it's time for you to get out there on the water and make the most of it.